Assassin's Creed Mirage really wanted to send home that this game was inspired by the earlier entries in the series, the roots of this colossal franchise, and to be perfectly honest and transparent, it looks and feels that way, especially in regards to Assassin's Creed 1, which in my eye is the biggest of wins, but what do I exactly mean by this? Assassin's Creed 1 had a very simple gameplay loop when it came to doing missions. Altair would be sent to a bureau, you'd speak with a Rafik in the city who gave you some information on the target and where to begin your search. You would then need to explore the city, perform investigations, all before gaining Al-Mualim's marker and heading out to perform the actual assassination. Assassin's Creed Mirage does the exact same thing and makes it 10 times more fun. With Assassin's Creed Mirage, the structure for the most part is as follows. You head to a bureau, one of many scattered across all the city of Baghdad. You speak with the Rafik there who will give you some information on the target. They'll point you in the direction you should look, and there you'll be off to perform your investigations. Unlike Assassin's Creed 1, these all felt engaging and unique. It wasn't the same thing over and over again, there was variety. You have to complete all of these investigation missions as a way to get access to the assassination mission. This is when it differs slightly from Assassin's Creed 1 and embraces what Assassin's Creed Unity and Syndicate did by making the core assassination targets black box missions. So if you enjoyed them there, you'll have an absolute blast here too. I won't spoil them here though, due to the game only having just come out. Another thing that relates to the investigation missions is you'll be doing a lot of what you've done before in Assassin's Creed 1, which I found to be a nice inclusion. You can eavesdrop on people sometimes and listen to what they have to say by sitting on a bench and focusing on them. Pickpocketing has returned, but this is more for getting keys, money, and the occasional mission item which you may need. There's the occasional mission where you'll follow somebody around and listen to them talk, but tailing missions are very few and far between, so thankfully for those who hate tailing missions, you won't be doing many here. As well as doing investigation missions throughout Baghdad, you can also partake in assassin contracts which the assassin bureaus will have on their notice boards. These are often small side jobs which you can partake in to earn a few rewards, from the tokens which we can use to gain discounts at merchants or hire people to help us, to components we need to upgrade our tools, to weapon upgrades, outfits and more. These are fun and definitely help immerse you as being an assassin, helping the people from the shadows and allowing the game to really show off the stealth gameplay, especially when it includes optional objectives. These optional objectives are about as close as we're going to get in the RPG saga of games to full synchronization. There's no penalty here, you don't lose anything important if you don't fulfill them. You will lose additional tokens and money, but nothing you couldn't claim from pickpocketing people on the streets. It's just a fun way to push yourself and try new things. Such optional objectives can be not to kill anybody, don't get detected, kill a target with the environment, or use fire to kill a target. They're a fun little addition to the game and one I personally enjoyed doing. They link into the main narrative in small ways, and most contracts have their own little mini story woven throughout, which I quite like too. When you spend a big part of the marketing pushing that this is a return to the roots of the franchise, you want to make sure that the parkour-inspired movement is as good as it can possibly be. The recent RPG trilogy of games had what could be best described as a gutted version of what made traversal throughout the worlds of each Assassin's Creed game so fun and engaging. There was no skill ceiling to speak of. The maps weren't designed with parkour in mind, rather having small zones which parkour could theoretically be possible, with ropes scattered everywhere to make it seem like you're doing parkour. Does Assassin's Creed Mirage rectify this mistake? Yes and no, but let me explain. The parkour in this game is, I think, the best we could possibly get given the state of the RPG game's parkour. It does things which I like and some things that I don't. I've not got as much time in the RPG games compared to the classic Assassin's Creed games, so doing parkour for the first time in this game felt very heavy and sluggish. I didn't feel graceful. I had weight, it took a while for Basim to get going. I wasn't as floaty as Arno was in Unity, which I consider to be a plus, but I didn't feel like I had the most precision of control when it comes to other games in the series. What I mean by that is that some of the core components of the parkour here is missing, but we kind of knew that was the case anyway. Back ejects exist, but they don't grant you height and seem to be context dependent if there's something behind you to grab onto, but you won't get any higher than the initial position. Side ejects apparently do exist in this game, dependent on if there's something there for Basim to jump to, but in my total playtime I've never been able to pull it off. I know it's not exactly fair to compare this to previous Assassin's Creed games, but those two mechanics really gave the player freedom when it comes to where we can go and what direction we can take. But that doesn't make the parkour terrible. We can parkour up and we can parkour down, in a sense. It's not as stylish, but it is possible. You can vault over objects if they're low enough. The world is designed for the parkour system in mind, with a number of different paths to choose from, all climbable. White sheets is always tell us when a parkour starter is coming up, but you can create your own parkour paths in Mirage. You're not going to be as flashy and as light as Unity, and you're not going to get the extreme freedom of movement you get with the earlier Assassin's Creed games, but you can fling yourself off buildings and grab onto a ledge if you're close enough. You can choose where you want to go and how to get there, and to put it bluntly, without looking at the technical side of things, the parkour is simply fun to play around with. Baghdad is designed with parkour in mind, and not once did I feel the desire to fast travel around. I wanted to parkour, I wanted to explore the rooftops, traverse from the city streets to twisted alleys to the rooftops. I wanted to scale the walls of the city, climb up scaffolding and use ropes and beams to tail my target. Traverse the city without touching the ground, and you can do that. There's always a way. It's fun, you look cool, you have freedom, you feel like an assassin, there's always a new path. You can choose a direction at any time when the map is designed in such a way to facilitate that. And I cannot thank Ubisoft enough and the team behind the game for making the parkour as great as it is. With Mirage, not once have I had the desire to skip using parkour. It knows what it is, it took inspiration from what worked with the older games and applied it to the newer style, and did its hardest to put it to good use, and it shines here. The only real thing I would say is that sometimes it feels as though Basim is kind of heavy when it comes to his sprinting. It's not as fast as what you could be compared to sprinting in other entries in the series. Following on from the parkour, it's only fair to go onto the map of Assassin's Creed Mirage. The map is the perfect size and is designed perfectly. I read somewhere in passing that apparently the city of Baghdad is so well designed from a historical standpoint, it made a historian cry. Ubisoft have always been fantastic when it comes to designing their open worlds, especially when it comes to Assassin's Creed. Do they sometimes get a bit too big and ambitious? Yes, but are they not at the very least beautiful to look at and walk through? Yes, they are. The world of Assassin's Creed Mirage is a treat to walk, ride and parkour through. From the wilderness surrounding the city to the city itself, the various amount of parkour opportunities it presents to you, to the canals and rivers that you can ride down, there's beauty in the traversal. It's responsive, it's fun, and it's scenic too. Walking through the bazaar is very different from walking through the harem. The Winter Palace is very different from the district where soaps and clothes are made. From farms and swamps, prisons and shop stalls, the city of Baghdad and its surrounding area is a beauty to behold, and a fun experience to traverse too. It's not so big that I have the desire to fast travel, nor is it too cluttered with stuff to do that I feel like I'm wasting my time. It's small, it's filled with quality not quantity, and I respect Ubisoft for having that approach. Bigger isn't always better. There's beauty in the little things. I will say though that sometimes there's no point to using certain mechanics. There's never a real incentive outside of 2 missions where you need to pilot a boat. So traversal with boats in the open world never crossed my mind because I forgot it existed. And a nitpick with the parkour I have is with the zip lines. If Basim was wearing gloves or had a hook blade or something to attach to the ropes, I wouldn't have an issue. But when you can see that Basim isn't wearing any gloves and he's gripping those ropes while going down them, it just annoys me because I'm thinking how messed up his hands must be. Does this nitpick matter in the grand scheme of things? No, it really doesn't, but it annoys me and I wish Basim would just wear some gloves. Progression throughout Assassin's Creed Mirage is pretty interesting, and I would argue the case that it's the one that truly embodies the spirit of what Assassin's Creed 1 did with Altair, and immersing you into the role of being an assassin/hidden one. As the marketing for this game says, you go from a street rat to an initiate of the hidden ones, all the way up to a master assassin. Your rank means a few things. For one, the higher your rank, the easier it'll be to eliminate higher level enemies when in combat. If you were to enter the Round City as an initiate, you'd get your ass handed to you pretty quickly by the guards, but as a master assassin, it's a piece of cake. Not only that, but you'll get some new dyes for your robes, and once you hit a certain rank, you'll get a corresponding outfit for that too. There's also talismans in the game which you can have equipped on the back of Basim's outfit, which you can then show off your accomplishments with your rank on full display. A surprising addition to this game was the reintroduction of dyes, which we haven't seen since Assassin's Creed Unity/Syndicate. We can be given these dyes by increasing our rank as a member of the Hidden Ones, or we can find them by completing certain collectibles called enigmas throughout the game. 2 of them can can be purchased from stores though. Somewhat of a downside though is that, although an amazing addition, they are linked to specific outfits. So each outfit in the game will have the default look, along with the 2 dyes which you can find and purchase. The dyes cannot be used with other outfits. Not a big deal, just something I wish we could have had. However, I am grateful for the dyes and think that what they did with the dyes in this game for their respective outfits is great. Speaking of, there are a ton of outfits in this game and weapons too. The weapons go along with the outfit, so it's practically like a set. Each outfit will have its corresponding weapon and dagger for it. These can be found in gear chests across the map of Baghdad. There's also upgrade schematics which can be found in chests which allow you to upgrade your weapons and outfits. The weapon upgrades will improve your attack and your defense, but that's it. However, each weapon has a perk unique to that weapon. The outfits, when you upgrade them, will upgrade the effectiveness of the perk associated with the outfit you're upgrading. A unique way of going about it and one I quite like. There's 2 types of outfits in this game. One which you have the perks and that can be dyed, and costumes which you can put on over the top of your outfits. So say you really like the perk of one outfit, you can equip a costume over the top of it, change Basim's appearance while still keeping the perk of the outfit you had on. One I really appreciate and love wholeheartedly. Before I go any further, I would just want to go over the Ubisoft Connect rewards really quickly. We're all used to legacy outfits in Assassin's Creed games, but Mirage does something different, something I praise it for. The outfits actually suit the setting and suit the characters wearing them. We have Altair's robes from Assassin's Creed 1, and I must say that they look the best that they have ever been. Some say AC1 looks the best. Some people love Revelation's look on Altair's robes. I personally don't. But in Mirage, my god, they look beautiful. We have Ezio's robes too, but they're his robes from Revelations which he picked up from Acre. Thank god we're not roaming Baghdad in his Master Assassin robes from Rome, otherwise I think I would have cried. I love the robes on Ezio. Ezio earned the drip at that point. On everyone else, they look so goofy and out of place. It's made me dislike them to the point I think it's the worst looking out of Ezio's 3 main robes. And finally we get Basim's robes from when he was in England during Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I love that they went this route with the legacy outfits. It's different yet fitting all the same and they look fantastic. Surprisingly, there is a transmog system in Assassin's Creed Mirage. However, this is limited to your weapons only, not the outfits that you acquire, which I respect. If you go to a blacksmith, you can change the look of your sword and dagger to something else, all while still keeping the stats and perks of the weapon in question, for a small fee of coin that is. The shops are pretty decent, but one that I think is pretty useless is the cartographer. Considering when you're using your eagle, Enkidu and viewpoints, you can pretty much uncover all the collectibles easily. But with the cartographer, you can exchange certain tokens from maps which can show you the locations of chests, books and collectibles in the different districts and areas. There's only one of these that I found, and that's in the Round City, and by the time I'd got there, I'd almost collected everything in the world anyway. I mean, it's there for people who want to easily know where everything is, and that's fine. But from my own perspective, I think it's a useless shop when you already have an easy way of finding things. There is a skill tree in this game, well, 3 of them to be precise. However, they're nowhere near the levels of it being a skill bush, which is so messy in Valhalla they had to give you an auto-equip button for it, making the whole thing borderline useless. But here in Mirage, the skill tree is clear to see, clearly defined, and clear to understand. You know exactly what you're getting, how much it'll cost, and you can decide if you want the perk or not, and what perk tree to invest in. Each perk on the skill tree felt useful, and didn't just add a 2% critical attack chance with ranged weapons. They were useful like a new ability when in combat, or more tools to have for stealth opportunities. A step in the right direction for the future of Assassin's Creed, I must say. Surprising nobody at this point, there is a store in Assassin's Creed Mirage, but I must say, praise the heavens, that it's practically barren and they've held restraint here. Outside of the deluxe edition which I own, which has the Prince of Persia bundle, which is my headcanon of making the Prince of Persia games canon fight me, you have a filter which you can purchase to make collectibles easier, a weapon pack, a demonic bundle, a genie outfit pack, and a celebration assassin pack which has the 4 main assassins of Mirage's outfits available to you in black and gold. Quite barren compared to what it has been in previous games, and the main game has more content than the store, so with that I am pleased. I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, outside of maybe the black and red dye which is locked behind an $11.99 paywall, but I'm not paying that so I don't mind. If people want to purchase it, they can. It's fantastical stuff and celebratory stuff. It's nothing that makes you feel like it should have been included in the base game. The game as a whole feels incredibly complete with nothing cut out and slapped into the store, so that is a win in my eyes. However, the question which I find rather odd is this: why is Ubisoft charging $3.99 for a pack of map filters for a game which is already, if taken at a leisurely stroll, only 30 hours to complete to 100% completion, when you already have a shop in-game which reveals the locations of chests and other collectibles within the game world? A game world which, might I add, is much smaller compared to the size of Origins, Odyssey and Valhalla. It's not a chore to go around these locations and pick up shards or chests or find enigmas. It's a time saver in a game which is already short in length compared to a lot of the bulky Assassin's Creed games which have come out on the last generation of consoles. It just doesn't make sense. Why pay to experience less of the game, especially when the game already has a shop telling you where everything is? For once, I'm not complaining about the amount of cosmetics in the game, or that the best stuff is locked behind a paywall. Instead, I'm complaining about a filter for a feature which seems to already be in the game. Yes, it's a thing people can buy, and if people don't have a lot of time to play the game, then surely a case can be made that this isn't an egregious sin. But $3.99 for a pack of map filters to play less of the game, when there's a cartographer in the game which sells maps anyway to find the stuff you want, in a game which is a maximum takes 30 hours to 100% to complete? I don't know, maybe it's just old man yells at a cloud situation, but I just find it confusing. It would be wrong of me to make a review and not mention the downsides of this game, and a fair few of them are performance related. I don't doubt that we'll see patches going forward as more time passes from the game's launch, but from what I've played, this is what I experienced. I should mention that this is running on the Xbox One S. First, the game randomly freezes every so often when it autosaves. It looks like it's crashed, you can't do anything for about 5 seconds, and then suddenly everything is back to normal. This has happened to me a good few times, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm on Xbox One S or what, but I felt like this was something that did annoy me while I was playing. While going on from crashes, I've only had one game crash on me once in my entirety of my 30 hours playing the game, and that's me playing for hours at a time. This game had me hooked, and I just wanted to keep playing more and more of this game. It had me hooked, but those crashes and especially the freezes were so frequent I couldn't help but get slightly tilted. The load times on Assassin's Creed Mirage are pretty long too. If you decide to fast travel, you'll be waiting between a minute and sometimes more for the game to load everything in. It's the worst when it comes to loading up the game from the menu, which it does take some time. I've heard on the current generations of consoles it isn't that bad, but on old gen consoles like mine, there is a substantial load time, which isn't too bad, but for someone who doesn't bother using fast travel, it's okay all things considered. So the big question, is this a return to roots for Assassin's Creed? Yes. As a long-time Assassin's Creed fan, I can tell that this game was developed with love and care for what came before. The game feels polished. The game feels like Assassin's Creed. The Hidden Ones against the Order of Ancients. A personal story, Assassins and Hidden Ones being a core part of it. It takes the lore and cherishes it. It takes the gameplay from before, mixes it with the new, and creates something I feel we should have had from the RPG games all along. Something old and something new. The homage to AC1 is very much welcomed, and when I was playing this game with a friend of mine, I told them that if this was how Ubisoft was going to do an Assassin's Creed 1 remake, I would be happy. The gameplay loop is fun and engaging, the parkour feels good, really good for what it is. The high focus on stealth over combat, give me more of that. A world which is beautiful yet not so big, I feel paralysed by trying to conquer it all. The story left me wanting more yet satisfied. I was asking questions throughout, and while some were answered, in typical Assassin's Creed fashion, I was left asking more, and that's the beauty of Assassin's Creed. I love this franchise, I cherish it dearly. I dream of one day going to Vatican City and Rome dressed as Ezio from Brotherhood and going, the liberation of Roma has begun. I dream of making cosplays of all Assassin's Creed protagonists. I make videos on Assassin's Creed because I love this franchise and I get all nerdy and excited talking about it. This was the perfect leap of faith that Ubisoft could have made, and they succeeded in the execution. It didn't feel like a parody like Syndicate does sometimes. It didn't feel like a carbon dated copy of what's come before. It felt new and it felt fresh, but it preserved the identity and the gameplay loop of what makes an Assassin's Creed game Assassin's Creed. It respects the players, it respects what came before, and tells a tale which had me hooked for hours at a time. I had to stop making videos simply because I was engaged with this game. Assassin's Creed Mirage may be named after an illusion, but is anything but when it comes to its promise of honouring the past and being a return to the roots of the franchise. Assassin's Creed Mirage made me believe in the franchise again. Assassin's Creed Mirage was the perfect leap of faith for Ubisoft. The question now is, will they take what they've learned from this game and use it going forward? That remains to be seen. But from the bottom of my heart to the team at Ubisoft Bordeaux, thank you so much for what you've done. I hope you continue to make more Assassin's Creed games going forward. You've created something beautiful here. Is Assassin's Creed Mirage a return to roots for the series? Yes. I didn't feel cheated. I didn't feel like the wool has been pulled over my eyes. I feel like what we got here was brilliant for what it was trying to do, and I respect that Ubisoft listened to the fans for what they wanted, and it shows that this game cares about the legacy of Assassin's Creed. Creed. If you love Assassin's Creed as much as I do, I reckon you'll love the video that's up on screen now. And not only that, I reckon you'll love this game too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.